You are listening to the Heartland Author Podcast. I am Aaron Apollo Camp. For today's episode, I had the honor to interview Becky Parker Geist. Becky is the author of the book The Left Turn and the founder of the audiobook, podcast, and audio marketing services company Pro Audio Voices. As you'll learn about in the interview, Pro Audio Voices is going to launch its own audiobook sales and listening platform soon. I'm here with Becky Parker Geist, who is the author of The Left Turn and is the founder and CEO of an audiobook services company called Pro Audio Voices. Becky, welcome to the Heartland Author Podcast.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Feel free to introduce yourself to our listeners.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I have fell in love really with the storytelling art of audiobooks back when I was first out of grad school. Back in '81, had trained as an actor, and it was a great way to use my acting skills in the audiobook industry for talking books for the blind. That's where my love affair with audiobooks started. And then I started Pro Audio Voices in 2013 as a way to really serve more clients and do more. And I just released my my first novel, The Left Turn, this year. So it's been an exciting journey to both be helping other authors create their stories and bringing them to life in audio, as well as going through that process myself as an author.
Now, without spoiling too much of the book you've written, I'll get back to audiobooks a little bit later on in the interview, but what is your book, The Left Turn, about?
It's really about self-discovery. We are just kind of discovering who we are and the story that we choose to tell ourselves about who we are. And I use a parallel universe context to explore that, and in which my characters can then experience this process of kind of awakening, waking up to the fact that there's a whole lot more going on than we are at first taught to believe. There's a lot of magic out there in the universe.
Now, is The Left Turn fiction or nonfiction, and is it self-published or traditionally published?
Yeah, it is. It is fiction, and it is. Although there's a lot of nonfiction science that is built into it, but it was independently published. Technically, it went through our audiobook production company as the publisher, but really the process, it was an indie publishing approach. And it's something that I've become more and more familiar with as I've been president of Bay Area Independent Publishers Association for about 9 years now. And so it was great to have that experience, that background to bring to the process.
Yeah, and I would imagine there's a larger community of independent authors in like the San Francisco Bay Area than there would be where I live in rural Vermilion County, Illinois.
Yeah, probably so. It's a pretty active group. Yeah.
Now, what formats is The Left Turn available? Is it just in audiobook format, or are there other formats available as well?
It's available in all the different formats. So we've got it in paperback, hardcover, audio, ebook, large print. Tried to cover all the bases. And something that I think was interesting about the publishing process for The Left Turn is that we did audio first. Made sense, because that's my area of expertise, but it was also fun to just explore what doing it as audio first could mean and how that might play out. And it was, so that was fun. And I learned a lot, and it was, I think I would absolutely do it again. It was a great way to start off the publishing process.
That's very interesting in that your book was first made available in audiobook format, because a lot of books are originally made available in ebook or paperback format. Sometimes hardcover is the first format, but that's rare.
Right.
And then made available in audiobook format later, or like originally written for ebook or print and then made into an audiobook and made available at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But the audiobook first route is very interesting, and it would not surprise me, given that Amazon has its own subscription audiobook service, Audible, and there are other audiobook retailers that audiobook first route of publishing might become more common in the future.
Yeah, it definitely has grown. For a while there, I was seeing that those trends were happening, and I thought, yeah, that's really great. And some books, there are some that are even just in audio, not in any other format. But when you mention Audible, obviously Audible is the sort of the big retailer, the one that is best known, and where all authors think, I got to be on Audible, and I agree. But also something that's really great for authors to be aware of, especially in the audiobook world, is that Audible pays the lowest royalties. And so there are other ways. And also, you can't really do audio first anymore with the audiobook distributors, but there is a way. So we used Amplify, which is actually an author direct sale platform that we developed at Pro Audio Voices. So it opens that up again, for authors that really want to explore that. It's really great.
Now, you mentioned the retail platform that Pro Audio Voices provides. What other services does Pro Audio Voices provide?
We really do a lot. So pretty much from wherever authors come to us, they often will come to us with a finished manuscript, which is the best place to start with an audiobook production, because we do want to have a finished manuscript before we record anything. But then we have a whole pre-production process that includes casting and manuscript preparation. And then production could be anything from, a single narrator who's doing all the voices, which is the most common. Most people are familiar with that. But we also will do like multiple voices for some projects. Like even my own, The Left Turn, is written from two points of view. And so it's narrated with two different narrators, myself and another actor. And then we go all the way to like full cast. That can be, I think our biggest project was like 32 actors and around the world, and music and sound effects. And it really is like sort of like a film, or in audio, kind of like that. It's really, really fun. Then we also include the distribution, so we'll get it out into the broadest network we can and we typically use Authors Republic. But then we also provide this author direct sale platform, Amplify, which very soon, we're actually in the process of deploying the app for that. So very soon it will be in the app stores, and great way. It's sort of like the Etsy of audiobooks, so we're pretty excited about that. And then we also have marketing services that we help authors, with whatever version of help that they need. We listen to what our clients need, and then if we can help in that arena, then we do. Yeah.
Now, does Pro Audio Voices provide services to self-published authors, traditionally published authors, or both?
Both. Most of our clients are indie authors, but we do have some traditionally published. It really depends on who's holding the audio rights. And sometimes, we've had authors who have requested the audio rights back from their publishers so that they can go through the audiobook process if the publisher is not planning to, pursue that. We've also had projects where, an author does the audiobook in advance of going through that publication process. So it's mostly based on who is holding the audio rights. And then, we'll work with whoever that person is. So sometimes it's an author, sometimes it's a publisher.
Now, I had a different question written down than the one I'm going to ask you, but you mentioned that Amplify app that your company, Pro Audio Voices, is developing. Is that going to be available for both iOS and Android, or just one or the other?
It will be available for both. And we're literally in the deployment phase and the testing phase. And, it's the first time that we as a company have developed an app. So we, hired app developers who know how to do that. But, the process itself is something that's been really interesting to learn as we go along, and, finding the places where we have to get really creative on our problem-solving solutions. But yes, to answer your question most directly, it will be available on both iOS and Android.
Okay, now I actually have two more questions on my list of questions I've written down, but I'm going to ask them kind of as one question. How do the marketing programs that Pro Audio Voices provide work, and what podcasting services does Pro Audio Voices provide to podcast hosts and producers?
Yeah, so the podcasting is we offer the helping with the setup. That's everything from, working out or producing your trailer, your intro and outro, and that sort of thing, getting you set up and syndicating the podcast itself. And then the ongoing post-production process, the uploading to the media host, all of that as well, and can facilitate the descriptions and that sort of thing. So it kind of, there's a little bit that depends on who you've already got on your podcasting team to help with the different pieces of the process. And then in terms of marketing, we have several options. So one we call is access calls. They're monthly small group coaching calls, like mentoring coaching calls with marketing experts. And that can be related to website or social media. Those are the most common areas, but it is primarily designed as a question and answer option, so that we always leave time for questions that come up. But we do have there will always be a short presentation on something, some aspect that will be helpful. So that's a once a month call. People can sign up as a subscription or just do it as a one-off call, depending on what they need. We have, we'll do audiograms, which is like mini videos using the audio from your audiobook as the audio piece, and then create these audiograms that you can post on social media. And then we have like a marketing membership where you get the access calls, but you also get access to our membership portal that has do-it-yourself modules for step-by-step marketing. We found that a lot of authors just what they really need is just a kind of a baby step approach, one little step at a time, just to keep things moving. But it's so easy to get overwhelmed with all the things that we could or should be doing with marketing. Best approach is something that's consistent. So we help with that. And then we have even higher level programs where it's like the full audiobook marketing program with custom blueprint for your marketing and just a much more customized kind of program as well. So lots of things, lots of options.
I'm going to mention one more thing before I close out this interview. You using your own company to make the audiobook version of The Left Turn, that is completely ethical. There's nothing unethical about it. There are self-published authors out there that have formed their own companies to handle their own writing and self-publishing endeavors.
Right.
Mandy
yes.
Lynn, whose book earlier this week came out called Let the Rubble Fall, has her own LLC that she uses for her published books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because Sam Bankman-Fried, the crypto executive who's currently in jail in the Bahamas awaiting trial, was busted for self-dealing. He was using one corporation to try to finance another. That's different.
That's different, yeah. We actually do want to treat our publishing work, as authors, as a business. And, if you have an existing business that is related to the content that you're producing, it makes the most sense. And it's more, it's a better business approach, and it's a better way. You have all of your tax information all together, and that's linked appropriately. So it's really a good approach to have some kind of entity. Most authors, of course, are going to go with like a sole proprietorship, at least initially. But and I'm certainly not a tax advisor in any sense. But just knowing that the approach to publishing and just treating it as a business, because it is, is wise.
And also, I'll mention tax laws vary quite widely from one country to another.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So U.S. tax laws might be different than Canadian tax laws, Australian tax laws, German tax laws, and so on and so forth.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Becky, you've been a wonderful guest for this podcast, and I thank you for appearing on the Heartland Author Podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Appreciate it.
I wish Becky and Pro Audio Voices the best on their soon-to-be-launched audiobook platform, Amplify. This is Aaron Apollo Camp reminding y'all to write your imagination. Bye for now. You can learn more about me and my book writing projects at campaaronapollo.witsite.com/authoraac. You can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at authoraac and on Instagram at aacscribe. Copyright 2022, Aaron Apollo Camp, all rights reserved. This podcast episode is intended for the private listening of our audience. Any reuse or retransmission of this podcast episode without the express written consent of the podcast host is prohibited, except under fair use guidelines. Royalty-free music and sound effects obtained from https://www.zapsplat.com.